That's what EDG has to answer right now. They are going to go on to the blue side, and I actually expect them to do a very similar strategy to Game 1. I know Frostcurrent was talking about how EDG should evolve, they should adapt, but I'm sorry, Frostcurrent, that's just not what we've seen from EDG so far. I feel like they're going to look back at Game 1 and say our strategy was successful, but it was because of the mistakes that did not make it work. It's not about the stylistic differences, and I really do think EDG are probably still going to go to that. They're going to go for a very, very strong bot lane. They're going to put Ray on a potato, unfortunately, and they're just going to try to run it through once more.
It would be okay if we play safer. They're going to take away the Akali, the Taliyah, and the Alistar right here from JD, or JD will take those away. EDG removing Tam Kench, the Gragas, and the Aatrox. First pick of the Rise, I like it a lot. Get some of those semi-globals away from JD and put it on their side. Lovers Duo in for JD.
And it's all about the main champion so far. You just saw the win rate on Scout with his Rise, 10 plus KDA. On the other side, Rakan is also Luma's best champion. 100% win rate so far. The entirety of the split, regular split, as well as the playoffs so far. And EDG, they're going to go for a tried and true counter. The game that they were very close against JD Gaming was when they got Mako to play very aggressive in lane. They got the 2v2 kills. Leona is a great counter into the Rakan. You can follow him as he tries to dash back to the Xayah.
Yeah, I can't think of anything more aggressive than bringing Leona into the bottom lane, and this is definitely an LPL special. Many bot laners can play extremely well. Mako, Ming come to mind. Kai'Sa also going over to EDG, and it will be a response of Galio. Really love what we've been seeing so far from Yagao. It's been his bread and butter alongside Zoe since we saw him come into the LPL, so it's great to see him come full circle here.
It's basically the neutralizer in the mid lane. We know your star player is Scout, but what are you going to do against an aftershock Galio? The answer is not much. We're going to push you in early. We're going to keep him contained. So the strategy for JD Gaming showing once more. Now the question really is, with the red side, what counter pick can they give over to Zoom?
Yasuo going to be taken away here from EDG, and also the Camille aimed at top side. Liked it last time, I still like it. Definitely something that you can't just give over to Clear, especially when Galio is on the field. Olaf taken away there from Haro as well.
One of Haro's best champions. They're looking at the bot lane and thinking to themselves, if they have a Berserker and Leona coming in at the same time, you know, Loken's just not going to stay alive for very long. I like the bans for JD Gaming. No Fate does look a bit flustered right here. A very uncommon sight on his part. Yeah. He's thinking about all the champions that Clid has played. He actually has the most champion played of our LPL junglers. He can just basically do it all. So you do see the Skarner banned away from him as well. He's probably the only one to play Skarner in the LPL playoffs. He's thinking about the team fighting potential or the early game for the snowball for Zoom.
I mean, again, Clid really just does it all. You mentioned is the size of his champion pool. He can play everything extremely effectively. It's going to be the Xin Zhao once again here for Clid. Again, aggressive out there into the jungle. We'll see if he can impact those lanes and keep his bot lane safe as well at that. Now, curious for me what's going to be here from Haro to actually put some pressure down into his own bottom lane, because we're going to be looking to put and double down your resources into iBoy and Mako. What's it going to be? This could be interesting. This is interesting. It's going to be Lee Sin.
Okay, now this one's super interesting because it can have a lot of playmaking potential, and if you're talking about going towards the bot side, great ganks coming in, but the problem is, early game, it's not that good against the Xin Zhao. The Xin Zhao will actually have the priority and force him around. Now EDG, the question is it going to be a potato for the top lane, or is it going to be the Rise? It looks like they're going to go for the potato. Frosk, I'm sorry you're disappointed. Ray actually has a nice smile right there. He's like, the comfortable potato.
Unfortunate, but hey, you can always be a hot potato, and that's what he's going to be aiming towards in this matchup.
And now is the question, does Zoom actually have the counter pick for the top side? Now, we've actually seen this matchup play out. He does bring the Grasp of the Undying towards the top side. Is a very strong lane bullying champion.
Yeah, and Zoom, you know, I honestly feel that Zoom is the best top laner we have right now. He does it all, and he does it well. He can beat out those lanes. He's smashed multiple lanes against the Shy, who people are saying is the best in spring, best in summer. Not anymore, really. Zoom, incredibly strong in the 1 versus 1, great in the team fights as well, and I'm glad to see him get priority here in this lane for JD's final pick.
So EDG, they go for a very similar strategy. Even though they're running the Kai'Sa, this is actually a kill lane. We've seen it before in their previous matchup against JD Gaming. For the top side, it's still going to be be slow and steady, just something safe, something to make sure Zoom doesn't get out of control. But what I will say they do have is that they have more split pushing potential on the Rise. The Rise has much more playmaking and map movement compared to the Aurelia, so that's the point they have to leverage.
I want to see more come out of EDG in terms of what they do in execution when you get towards that mid game, because they were so dead set on going for those team fights, and every single time, you know, you turn to me and it's just like, look at those replays, Mako and Haro, it's like, well, I can't access my my carry, so I guess we just lose this fight. They get split up too easily. Maybe the tactic is to just split up.
EDG really hasn't been the best 5v5 team fight. I don't think they're very aware of how to position themselves sometimes. So going for the potential split push on Scout, I think is a good answer. He could definitely do that against a Galio. Even in the late game, he's going to have the Kai'Sa to back him up in a moment's notice. So they could really push a side lane really far. And that also neutralizes the edge that we think Zoom is going to get in that top side matchup. It is a very strong counter pick for the Swain against the Sion early on.
Yeah, it's one of the few picks that does very well into the Sion. Sion just typically sits at the, yes, it's a potato, but it's a potato you bite into it and there's like metal inside, you know, like smashes a lot of those lanes into tanks, into bruisers as well. So nice to see him pick this one up once again. And looking at JD, we'll see if they can just smash out the early game, but now we know there's a late game for them. We know that there's comeback potential, and that was the only piece of the puzzle that was really missing for JD. This time they still have a hyper carry in terms of the Zai when she starts getting up as well.
Yeah, for JD Gaming, I feel like they've selected a scrappier team combination. With the Swain, you're not getting that tank like the Ornn anymore. So this is less about the 5v5 and more about catching people out, which Lumal has been magnificent on with the Rakan.
JD ready to try and shut out EDG out of world contention, a world first for them. Can EDG fight back? We're about to find out. I'll be honest, Clement, this is the first time I've ever heard the EDG fans not organized. And JD, you know, the man's going to be there every single time. He's always going to be there with the crowd chants. And it was just chaos there from EDG.
If there's one thing you have to know about the Chinese fans is that they root for whoever they think is stronger. It's not going to be like NALCS where it's like, TSM, TSM. They're not in the playoffs anymore. TSM, TSM.
Yep.
Right here, it really is about the mandate of heaven. You just give it to whoever is going to give your region the best chance going forward to Worlds. So I'm not surprised about that shift.
But that's incredible, right? Like, this is the first time that EDG could not make Worlds. You know, it would be shocking for them to take 30, let alone just not go at all. You know, and JD right here being the favorites, coming into potentially tomorrow against Rogue Warriors. I mean, that's just a straight 50-50 as well. So this is fascinating to see this one unfold. I'm going to take a look at the junglers right here. Clid starting from the top side, bot lane. Find a knock up there, Lumal.
So JD Gaming, they are trying to leverage the level 1 power before Mako can follow in with the Zenith Blade. Knew that the Leona skilled the Q first, is willing to go over for trades. And if we look at the top side, we're actually seeing a very... That's a level 2 all-in.
Yeah, that's the engage.
Oh, that's level 1, sorry.
Yeah, well, combine the levels. 1 + 1 is 2. You're not wrong.
Yeah, I thought he went for the Q first, just to push the wave a little bit faster. Does actually lose out on the trade because of the HP, but he's just trying to get everyone low into kill threat range.
They're responding quite well, that bottom lane from JD so far. Clid going from buff to buff, actually. See if he can find his way into the bottom side, because Haro is actually here first. Remember, he's on the Lee Sin. This is Clid's champion right now, and Haro is actually trying to make a statement in this second game. Walks in, doesn't really feel like it. He's going to back away.
The important thing is going to be about the wave manipulation in the bot lane. It does look like they're pushing out, but Haro, I felt like that play from Haro was very opportunistic because the wave was so far into JD Gaming's own lane that he essentially wasted a lot of time, and even worse for that, he's actually spotted out by JD Gaming. So they knew he wasted a lot of time in the bot side for the level 2 gank, and now Clid could actually loop around, go back, and try to contest him.
Yeah, he's got that information. I mean, that's the thing with the early game with Zendao versus Lee Sin. Actually have the damage output there from Zendao. 3 talent strike and the W, so much damage. You can see Zoom in the top side though, actually going for Inspiration first, taking the Kleptomancy. Going for Resolve second, Chrysalis.
We have seen this from him in tank versus tank matchups.
Yep.
It's all about scaling up, getting your ROA just a little bit faster. And basically his read is that he's not really going to be contested in this lane. it's better to look forwards towards mid lane. And we do see Clid, with the information he gained, he is going to be looking for the Lee Sin.
Might be trying to challenge as well. You can see he's actually just walking into the enemy jungle right now. Toss out Scribe's Bloom is going to catch Lee Sin on his Merc Wolves. So that's exactly what's happening. But now both junglers know the whereabouts of the other.
I think Clid should just be able to start it. Both of his solo lanes do have the push priority right here. And even with Haro, with the extra buy, Xin Zhao is such a scary opponent to go in on. If you queue in on him first and go in, he'll just straight up kill you. So no contest coming in from the Lee Sin right here. He's running the Dark Harvest. We've seen this a lot. Not a very strong early dueling keystone.
Ooh, engaged into the bottom side. Meiko actually taking the tower shot right here. This will be a nice punish out from Lumao.
You've got to love this lane positioning coming in from JD Gaming. They're actually playing the defensive lane. Haro's going in very deep, though.
He stayed in. Oh, the just punch hit the side of the wall right there, and Haro will escape with that one. He must have paid that wall off.
That's what you call a paywall.
That's good, I'll give you that one, Clement. Yeah, I'll have to go back into his own jungle, move towards the bottom side. Only Krug's left now, and none of these ganks have really happened. Moving into the enemy jungle, that didn't really work out for him as well. And you see the farm differential. Bot side though, Lumao jumping back towards iBoy. Loken taking a bunch of damage, but Mako's the only one really in here. iBoy not getting his auto attacks down.
And the problem with this is, like you said, iBoy can't actually follow up in any of these trades. They're pushed up too far in lane, and even though JD Gaming are losing a lot of CS because of it, I feel like they're actually playing incredibly safe. The last time we saw Mako play Leona, he was getting kills in the solo lanes, and that's the big thing for EDG to snowball.
But Haro just feels like a homeless person right now. He's just going from lane to lane, just like trying to find anything he can. But Clid is 2 levels ahead of him.
Yeah,
Clid
and that's
is so far ahead.
It's just the early game snowball. He went to the bottom side while the lane was so far in JD Gaming's bot lane. He got spotted for it, and Clid is just like, I will contest this. It's an easy contest for me. I have the level advantage. My solo laners are split pushing forward, so I'm just going to go for it. Now, you have to give it to Haro. He was willing to risk his own life just to get the wards into Clid, so he should know that the Xin Zhao is in this side.
Oh, he does now. Facing down the man with the spear, tosses out the Q, follows up on towards him. Loken trying to get there first, though. The W connects out from iBoy, but doesn't have the ultimate just yet, so we'll shove him out of the jungle. That would be a nice win there for Haro.
Faster rotation coming in from Mako and iBoy, and that's what really changed the difference right there. If you're looking at just the solo, of course, Xin Zhao does take it.
He's going to spot him again, Clid. Taking out the crab before he can even get in close. Getting a lot of gold over his opponent. So Mako and iBoy are actually pushing up, going to have to push through the tribe. But sidestep in from Mako, but here can Galu in from the mid lane. Able to follow up on this one. Mako flashes the wall, and Haro does not want any of this. But here comes the collapse out from Scout, opening up the fight right now. But Haro's by himself, but so is Lumao. That'll be first blood over to EDG. They look for the follow through. Scout leading the charge on this one. Loken out of mana, but they're already back to the turret.
Overcommit coming in from JD Gaming. They expend all of their ultimates but don't find a kill, and right there with Scout, he was already waiting for them, rotating. They also get the river vision advantage off of this play as well.
Scout moving back towards the mid lane, and EDG striking first on this one. It actually looked that JD were going to do very well on that, but Lumao getting caught out on the backside. Great rotation coming out from Scout.
Yeah, the key thing right there was that Lumao could not find his crowd control initially onto Mako. They were looking to chain that up with the damage, and then Mako avoids another knock-up coming in from Yagawa as well. The play does fizzle, and they're in panic mode. They have to get out of here. Great play by Haro, going in, slowing everyone down, and then Scout is just there for the cleanup.
Good stuff coming out from them into the bottom side. The play being maybe a little bit too aggressive there from JD, burning all those abilities. But in the top side, top lane island, just farming away. It's a nice day to be a top laner. Zoom's just equal and farm. Of course, he's got his Kleptomancy running, so he's going to be ahead in that one. I'll be seeing the rest of the map probably 5 minutes from now.
Probably. I'm just going to see how JD Gaming play. I do expect them to continuously focus on the top side. Haro wasn't spotted here, so he might have the first run into this.
Oh, I mean, that's the lockdown. Flash out of the Q there from the Lee Sin. Well played by Zoom. Tries to turn that one around with the Demonic Ascension, and Clid was also there just in case. That Ray decides to go all in.
Was a very lucky play for EDG because Zoom was willing to play forward, knowing that Clid was right at the blue buff and already setting down wards. But the thing is that they didn't spot out Haro. Haro was actually already in position for that play, so I actually feel like Zoom, He manages to step away from a disaster, a bit of an unfortunate turn of events for him, but he does get out scot-free.
He does. Has to burn the flash though. So there's a potential for him to move towards the top lane. No ultimate, no flash from Zoom. Maybe Hara can make that one happen now that he's just dinged 6. We'll also have his Dragon's Rage. And Cleared just slicing through a jungle right now. Still ahead in terms of farm, still ahead in terms of experience, but starting to equalize between the junglers. Bottom lane, iBoy getting ahead in farm, just a wave or two over to him. But Cleared's had constant control over these crabs in bottom lane and top lane.
It's just so hard for a Lee Sin early on, and he is running the Dark Harvest. We should talk about this summoner a little bit. Pre-15 minutes, it's not as worthwhile as the Electrocute, but when you come into the post-20-minute team fight situations, you can pick those soul shards up from your own teammates, from the enemy teams. You have exponentially more damage. You have 9 chances to get that Dark Harvest to proc. So that's why we're seeing all of these warrior champions going that way. The Graves, the Lee Sin, even the Rengars are going for the Dark Harvest now.
So if it pays off later on into the game. We're actually taking the camp away here. First time he's actually getting a successful invade off, but it means that Cleared open up now to move towards top lane or mid lane. We're still pushing for him. And blue buff is up. Trying to look towards this mid lane though with Scout. Yagao does have everything, including the flash. But Hara's in the bottom side.
I believe Hara was spotted though, going over the control ward on the right side.
The hill back away, bottom lane, following through. The Soul Ped didn't find a stun because he had to slow down, and he's dead before he can even move. What the damage coming out from iBoy? Loken chased back to the tower.
And that's the kill lane in action for EDG. They were still all about the bot lane, but they got the Kai'Sa as well. Can Loken get away from this?
The ultimate, instant flash coming through. Lands the Q there, Haru. Thinks about it for a second. Doesn't go full Lee Syndrome, but I like the pressure coming through.
And once again, EDG are going to take down the bot lane first. They have 2 kills already snowballed there. Clid is stuck between a Sion and a hard place.
He is, and the hard place is called Shelly. Oh, great. Just going to ult on out of there. In comes Zoom. In one of the mid lane, just trading blows. But the bottom lane, that's where we have to look towards, because EDG, they're on this tower while all that was happening. First tower will go purely over to iBoy.
JD Gaming, they try to trade it back. They do have the smite for this as well, so should be able to take it. And here comes Numal's Rakan.
Oh, Yagao's going to find the taunt on this one. Instant cleanse out there from Scout. Doesn't want any part of that party. And it will be the Herald traded here for JD.
Still a much favorable trade coming in from Edward Gaming. The big question is, where do JD Gaming actually put their AD carry and support now? It does look like they're going to be more passive around the map. They have an AD carry showing in a wave that's pushed up. That means they really can't afford to make a lot of plays on the other side of the map. And it's just going to be a farming fest for the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, bottom side traded for top side. JD, we know they're going to be fine with this one, but on the opposite side, this time you have a Kai'Sa here for iBoy. I feel like the late game insurance is here for both teams this time around.
And we've seen this exact script happen during EDG versus JD Gaming in Game 2 in that matchup. Now, EDG was able to win the bot lane super hard, but when it came to the late game, Numal found a miracle pick onto iBoy to come back into that game and instantly end it. So that's what we're going to be looking for towards the later halves of the map. Can iBoy actually get out of the initiations fast enough?
Now, Numal's definitely the hidden gem there in the bottom lane. Speaking of which, him and Loken pushing in this tower. Ray's going to get that full minion wave there, but with Hara behind him, should be able to defend this tower, you'd have to think, but Lee Sin will have to show himself. Top lane though, looking for this potential dive onto Zoom, and he's going to get a full combo down onto iBoy. Yeah, maybe not anymore.
Lots of damage, so it should be a better defense coming in from JD Gaming. Much more wave clear coming in, and there's no ultimate on Ray yet. So they do win out on the chip war.
Cleared on his way to the top side. He's going to spot Mako and iBoy jump on towards both of them. Here comes Galio into the mid lane as well. Flash over the wall, still caught on that one. The drag comes out from Zoom, but it won't be a kill.
It's a good play for the Summoners, however. Both of the flashes burned away from EDG. They can no longer push into this tower. And the engine, the siege engine of EDG coming from the bot lane is halted.
Indeed. But again, both teams quite happy to just scale up a little bit more, try and get those first, second items under their belt. In fact, a lot of the first items are just being completed. Speaking of which, Zoom has just gotten his Rod of Ages.
Excuse me, iBoy actually did not expend his flash. It was the killer instinct going over the wall once more.
Feel like a flash sometimes.
Yeah, definitely is one of iBoy's signature plays.
Clue Wolf going to go over to Scout Cleared, looking for the invade. Gao just behind him.
Uh-oh, Scout, not again.
Oh, that was a dark alley you didn't want to walk into, and he has saved so much damage, jumps over the wall, but he's found a Lee Sin, kicks him right back out. Trying to take this round warp, but he's walking right into your Gao as he's approaching. Doesn't burn the flash. Oh, he will burn his flash though. Flash over the wall. So many flashes being burned. Mako finds Yagao right there, but in comes Lumao. Gets a double charm. Pushing them toward, but Lumao's going to pay for this one. In comes Ray from the bottom side. Already uses his ultimate. Zoom right behind him with the flank though. Goes into the Ascension. Chases 3 back. And he's about to pop. Here comes Yagao, ready to trade. Loken getting behind the tank line. There it is.
It's only one down.
Finds one, but Yagao getting chased out by Ray. Zoom zoning away Highboy and finds him with the claw. Triple kill to the Swain, turning this one around the one-man army. Now in a 1 versus 1.
Scout can't come back in. He's too low in the HP department. And Zoom with a masterful teleport. EDG, they did steer the fight in the correct direction. It would have been disastrous if EDG still fought around the blue. They pushed it all the way to the Baron instead, but Zoom still coming in was the big deciding factor. Scout, of course, getting caught out. It was a good read by Clid to try and snipe him out from there, but honestly, you have to look at the decision-making later coming in from EDG, how they were trying to force this fight to happen, and where Zoom really found his entrance into the team fight.
Local was a long ways away from that fight as it started, and EDG, it looked good for them, but there was a lot of time bought here by JD, and in comes the Demon Bird.
And this could have been so much worse. iBoy actually isn't able to flash across the wall. And Zoom only getting his ultimate onto 2 people right here. It could have been much, much worse coming in from EDG. They do avoid a disaster right there.
Yeah, he was locked out from reactivating this. I just want it right now because that's a triple kill and probably a quadra to follow. So a little bit unfortunate there, but still a big turnaround coming out from JD just in terms of that single flank. And 3 of those kills still went over to the Swain. That just skyrocketed his build. You know, he just picked up the Rod of Age, just had enough for it, and now picked up a full Haunting Guise after that.
Yeah, he's definitely looking at burning down the tanks in this team fight. Probably going to go for the Leandries later on. So Leona and Sion are going to be the main targets that he feels most of his damage is going to be on. The way that JD Gaming are going to play is still going to be about front to back, but Zoom is already thinking about how to burn away the tanks from EDG.
6-3, EDG still leading this game, but those team fights still up for grabs for both of these squads.
This fight is, this game is so close right now. Yep. The tempo is amazing. We have 9 kills coming in at 16 minutes. It's the classical LPL type of flavor playoff we want. Just look at EDG going on a scouting party unnoticed.
Yeah, making tracks towards the top side, but JD is sitting in the brush right now. Double sweep as they know they're not being seen. Scout.
It's a scout bait.
It is a scout bait. Throws out the overload. And it's an absolute just stare down in the jungle except no one can see each other.
Oh, clever girl. Are they going to go for it?
Loken's pushing up. He's still on fog of war, but EDG are right behind him, and Loken separates from the pack right now. Lumao still committing to the play, and there's the Zhonya's coming through. Tosses out the Featherstorm, and Haas right here. Kicks Clid right into the meat grinder, and Lumao trying to get back to his AD carry. Lots of damage coming out from that blade caller there from Loken, but it's not enough. And iBoy comes in and slaps out the enemy AD carry. 3 kills to EDG.
That was amazing shot calling coming in from EDG. Now, Scout has been caught over and over again in this series. So they make Scout pretend like he is feeding intentionally, sends him up to the top tower, but all the while they had the B plan. They know they had the earlier map rotations, a teleport advantage onto Ray, a realm warp onto Scout, and they instantly make it a 5v5. This is what I wanted to see out of EDG, playing off the tendencies of JD Gaming.
Just a masterful bait coming out right here, and it was all planned. Scout knew he just needed to hit the stopwatch, and it was all going to go to plan. Hara comes in for the ultimate, and Loken's just by his lonesome.
Yeah, and it was a complete 3v5 coming in from EDG. There was no one that could help out the rest of the members for JD Gaming. That's just so insane to make a player that has been underperforming in one department and make that into your strength. Those are mind games being played here by EDG.
Insanely clever play coming out from them, and 3 kills over towards them, top tower down as well. Really just swung the goal lead further into their favor, and we see more stuff out from, you know, like this from EDG. this is how they win the series, and this is how they win the game. Because in that first game, first 9 minutes, you heard it from the Allen stats, was fantastic coming in from Edward Gaming. But post that, EDG were just falling to the team fights out from JD because they were just executing better. They were initiating, coming out from Lumao, coming out from Cleared, and the follow-through was so good. But EDG, they go so far ahead that JD can't even catch them in these team fights, and that's how they actually just close out.
Yeah, but the big question is still there. Can EDG still do it in a 5v5 scenario? So far, they've made the picks work.
And EDG look for the initiate, and Lumao just drops where he stands. Flank coming through from Yagao out from the sidelines, but EDG have already disengaged.
That's the unstoppable coming in from Sion. Lumao thought he could get away just with the ultimate, but that's not the case.
Heroic exit, makes it out. Appreciate what Mako was looking for right there. Didn't quite connect the Zenith Blade.
Very close indeed for JD Gaming right there, and I felt that was a little bit ambitious to try and defend the tower with just your bottom lane in front of a Sion and the full team coming in from EDG. And EDG just punched that instantly. They recognize that you're not in position. We have a lot more map mobility tools this time. We're going to go all in.
20 minutes into this game, and EDG have a 3,000 gold lead. I really feel like this Rise pick has worked out in more ways than one. You know, we were thinking about those semi-globals and how they're going to rotate, but we weren't really thinking about how he's just going to be the core part of their strategy in being bait. You know? And that has just turned all this around, and EDG now making proactive moves. Very kind of similar to JD when they get ahead. You know, they feel very competent to make these plays then towards turret, towards these objectives, and take the first punch, and that's when they should be able to overwhelm. There's actually been very few fights. I think one in game one where a team actually turned it around when they were initiated upon. It seems like the initiator will just get the best of them.
Definitely has been the case so far. Just looking down the gold graphs, however, we can see a big lead popping up for both iBoy and Scout. The carries are ready to control the team fights right here. And the question still remains, can EDG actually do it in the 5v5s? They might not need to this game, to be honest, because Scout is such an absolute monster, and he could just split push the entire game out. Make sure that JD Gaming never get to their strong point in the matchup.
Yeah, 1-3-1 is possible, 1-4 is definitely possible as well from EDG. JD, though, they have initiation ability. They've got Lumao and Yagao, and that is definitely a way you can start a fight. And to be honest, we haven't reached the point, you know, the threshold where we can really say that JD are just out of it. You know, I think game one really just demonstrated the fact that JD could always find a way back into this series historically, where that would just be the place where it's like, okay, well, if you win the early game against JD when all of their plans don't work out and you can shut them down, then they're just done, and then you move on to the next game. But this will keep going until the Nexus falls.
And this game is just so reminiscent of game 2 between JD Gaming and EDG. In fact, they have so many of the same champions. But we're looking at EDG pickoff right now.
Zoom under attack on the bottom side. Doesn't land the knock up there from Ray, but in comes Haro. Throws out the ward. Still behind him. Zoom pops the ultimate. The rest of the team trying to get towards him. But Scout's there first. Lines up, flashes away. Kick out from Haro. But Zoom's still alive. Cutting back on this one. Haro will try and escape. Pops the Zonyas. And Scout's going to be challenging into 1v1 combat, taking him out. That'll be the kill. But meanwhile, initiating there onto iBoy. Haro and Mako trying to back away right there. The front line comes up, and iBoy goes into castle. He backs away, and he's good.
Insanely well played. He actually only uses the flash to stay alive in that situation. Gets the Killer Instinct shield, is invisible for a split second, able to dodge out a lot of those damage abilities coming in. And JD Gaming, they actually had a decent chance at just straight going for the Baron, but instead the pick to equalize doesn't come into fruition.
So bottom lane just being pushed up. Someone has to respond to this push. It's going to be Yagao. Doesn't have the teleport. They really would like it to be Zoom, but he's dead currently. Liz will move towards the Baron because that's going to be the next big objective for these two teams. Gets priority in the area. Cleared. Getting jumped on by Haro. Thinking about following through, but still. Gets the priority over the area, places down the wards, and EDG just with control.
And we just had a replay of the fight where iBoy was caught out on your bottom left screen. Had to expend a lot of things, but Mako just in time to save him from that initiation. And JD Gaming, even though Zoom played it so well and dragged so much time away from EDG, they still don't get control of the Baron. That's the big point of that fight. They should have had the Baron area on lockdown after that, but just great plays from EDG, great plays from iBoy specifically to take away that advantage.
Yeah, shocked he was able to get out of that one, but also had the help of Mako and Scout coming through there. EDG just consolidating resources, haven't really given anything up yet. Looks much better than game one, you know, around this time, JD was starting to find team fights up against them once again.
Yeah, and I just want to recap what actually happened in game 2, because you know, I've been going on it for a while, but in that game, EDG had an even larger advantage, and it was just one team fight pick that changed the entire course of the game. So they're still definitely looking at these compositions, and I don't feel like they would feel safe. They would definitely say, you know, we have to keep all eyes on iBoy. He needs to dodge out on all of these situations. We've seen this exact play coming out from JD Gaming. We need to learn how to anticipate it now.
I'm feeling safe, but definitely feeling safer, considering how these plays have gone. Also, they've been making these really nice set plays that we didn't really see in the last series coming out from EDG. Really creative stuff coming from them. Meanwhile, looking at the items once again, double items being completed by a lot of members in this game, actually. Top, mid, and AD carry for JD. Similar story on EDG's side. We've got a bit of a stare down in the jungle, top side for JD. A lot of wards come down, though. And EDG, so much control of this Baron area. There's not a single ward to be seen for JD. Q didn't quite connect there onto Clid, so it won't be a pick. But, I mean, it's completely dark here for JD, so they just can't step into that jungle.
They have caught Yagao, however.
Yeah, he came down. He just wanted to place down a ward, man. Flashes over the wall. We'll see if that one's going to be worth it in the end. Sion also locked down his ultimate during that whole passage of play.
And you can see JD Gaming immediately pushing out. They're trying to draw EDG outside of their own jungle to some place where they can see them and hopefully go back into their red and then clear it out. So let's see if the rotation happens. EDG, they're faking a Baron, though.
They're starting it off. Yeah, no pings have gone on towards it just yet from JD. They're blind to this happening. Ground warp out from the rest of EDG. They're going to try and turn and burn.
Look at Zoom.
Lumao stepping up. He knows that something's wrong. Loken pushing up towards the pit, but it's already gone. Lee Sin finds the smite, and EDG get away with it.
And it's all about the mind games from EDG. They show two players in the mid lane, but they're already committing to Baron already. And you see Zoom, he just let his guard down. He headed bot, tried to pick up the wave, and it was too late for them. They didn't realize that they've been trapped into a ruse from EDG.
JD caught the pants down, honestly, and Ocean Dragon has spawned, but it's a small consolation prizes for them. The crap over to Loken, but EDG again with priority in this game, 25 minutes. We really just need to rewrite game 1, you know, push up to the Nexus and don't die, you know, don't lose that team fight. That was the big breaking point for JD in game 1, and we find ourselves here once again.
I just don't think Scout's ever going to be in the 5v5 position.
Yeah, he's going to be in side lane.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone beats him either.
All EDG really need to do is to make sure that quadrant is lit up so JD Gaming can't surprise them with a pickoff, and they can leave Scout on one of the side lanes. They should 4-man group elsewhere.
Yep, mid lane being set up, top lane the same from Bray, has that teleport, and Scout sitting in the bot side. Or even managed to get this dragon. They're actually taking everything away from JD. Only 2 towers, 3 kills to the name currently.
If you look at the items in the top lane for Sion right now, Loken just can't deal with them at this point. He definitely needs the true damage coming in from the Infinity Edge to start cutting down these tanks. For the Leona as well, so this is a massive strong point for EDG. JD Gaming simply do not have the item advantages to go up in a 5v5. I don't care how good you are at the 5v5. I just don't see JD Gaming actually winning it.
Having to kill iBoy immediately, Scout's going to be by himself in the bottom side, and you need at least 2 people to try and deal with this guy. Zoom's already going back to base because he didn't really have the mana to straight up dual Scout. The best he can hope for is trying to clear out the minion wave in front of him. But it's Baroned up currently, and he might just take this one away in front of his eyes. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing he can do about this one. So the tower goes down. Scout's split push is going really just unanswered from JD. And mid lane being pushed in as well, slowly just cracking these turrets, pushing them back to their base.
It's about how much JD Gaming will lose during this Baron play right here. I don't think they're going to look for a fight. A pick maybe, but it's still a very risky decision. You have Galio on the top side of the map, so he's not going to be able to respond to this.
Try and make this as clean as possible with your EDG. No crazy engages coming out from JD. Lock down Lumao. Make sure you know where he is at all times. Don't allow your Gal to get into that backline once again. But there he is, speaking of the devil. Charging up the taunt, lands on Taharo, but everybody moves up there from EDG. Can't move in on this, and JD pushed up to the inhibitors. But that'll be it here from EDG. Seems like that's the end of the Baron push.
Let's take stock at how much JD Gaming actually lost right there. So in total, it was one tower in the mid, another tower in the bot side. So I actually felt like JD Gaming, you know, they defended quite well. They didn't go into the trap of EDG forcing a team fight. EDG were showing their 4-man. They were hoping that JD Gaming maybe would try to initiate on them, set up another bait right there. But JD Gaming, they knew they didn't have the damage. They knew they didn't have the items. They just have to scale up. The Infinity Edge is going to be the big one and the turning point.
Yeah. So Wiles off, though. If you can find a trap in the jungle, perhaps that's the way. It would take Mako walking by himself towards this one, but to try and make that potential play happen, they give up the top lane pressure. So this will go down. All inner turrets dead now for EDG. Feeling good. 6 towers to 2. That's a good push. They'll back away, or we'll go back to an equal game state. I feel like it will probably come down to another Baron, another big monster objective.
Yeah, and EDG has never had such a big lead against JD Gaming, not in the playoff series that they played before.
The last 2 best of 5s, yeah.
Yep. 9K up already. Item leads onto both carries. Honestly, this should be a very clean finish coming in from EDG.
Should be, theoretically.
Should be.
The onus is definitely on JD to find those flanks, make it happen. Because last time they actually made it happen around Baron, even though they walked through all the wards. So cancel out those mistakes. That was definitely the mantra coming into the second game for EDG. And you called it right out of the gates there. It was just like, well, essentially probably going to do a similar thing, but just try and make less mistakes.
You have to look at that mid-game lead, the mid-lane lead, sorry. 4K over his opponent at this point. That's an item and a half.
That's a lot of gold.
Yeah, Scout's going to be an absolute monster in one of these side lanes, and Yagao even on the Galio with the extra magic resist, I don't think he can hold him down.
It's got to be 2 people, to be honest, so at the very least, the Swain. But speaking of that Swain, he's in the top side, completely locked down. The Subfall just sidesteps the Cyan ultimate, but Eyeboy's over the wall, can't go near that one. Soul Flare over the wall as well. And just caught off in the side lane. Scout will get the kill.
I do really like the response from JD Gaming, however. They know that Zoom is lost. They tell him not to flash, and they instantly shove all of their waves forward, just to make sure that they can delay the game even further, because EDG right now, they're going to have to pick up the mid lane wave. They're going to have to deal with the bot lane as well.
Planting the flag, though, in mid lane here, Clement, and top lane. You see how much damage he's doing to that tower. He's so much AP at this point in the game, and JD just lost so much from that.
Loken was actually hit by the W.
Oh, wow.
Delays his back by so much time. We didn't see the start of that, but it did seem that Loken took some damage and actually had to cancel his back. So a massive win coming in from EDG on that rotation.
But it was set up really from JD. You know, they decided they were going to plant their feet, move up to the mid lane outer turret, and it's like, well, if we can get this one and made with the inner turret and bot lane, that's the best they could have hoped for. But I still wouldn't take that trade over exposing an inhibitor.
I wouldn't either. I just didn't think that they probably didn't understand that Scout would push up that far. They thought that they could probably just go back in time. But what EDG did was that they pressured the mid lane quite hard. So JD Gaming couldn't back where they wanted to.
Loken stepping up. Ooh. Yeah, that's AP Kai'Sa for you.
Good chunk of damage. Probably 400 AP just off that Void Seeker.
Zoom's going to be the bodyguard. He's going to push up first. Lumao constantly alongside his AD carry. But yeah, the flank I don't feel is going to happen for you there, JD. We go back to your turrets, and EDG are pushing up. Baron's about to spawn. We're completely pushing up JD to their base. They have complete control over top side. Well, from top try. EDG can just bait all day. Or they could just try and rush once again, or even just look for the engage if JD push out too far. Mako will be face stacking all of this, but still, EDG in the power position.
No. Good dancing from JD Gaming. They're hiding behind their tower just to make sure the Scion cannot get a clear drift. But Quid's got out.
Cleared off on the side, looking for that flank. Has to burn the Crescent Guard for that pleasure. There's going to be a fast rotate though. Look at this from the rise, straight on towards the Baron, and they are burning it down. Yagao leading the charge right here, but he needs someone in the pit to follow through. Down to 4,000 HP, slowing down Cleared over the wall. There's Scout looking to assassinate right now. Goes into stopwatch. Great taunt coming out from Yagao, but Cleared's dead. 4 versus 5 for JD, trying to disengage from this. Damage control for them. Big knockup coming out from the Galio, but here's Eyeboy in the back lines. Gets 1 kill. Loken has to push forward and dies. JD with 2 versus 5. Swain trying to turn it around. The big BB tanks. Can they make it happen?
What?
Oh
my God!
Swain comes out with the double. Haro will go down, and a dumpling duo making it happen.
EDG, they were in a 5v4 position, but their carries were stuck with Zoom. I'm not stuck here with you. You guys are stuck here with me.
Apparently black dumplings do exist, Clement. I just saw one on the wrist. Oh my God, 4 kills coming out from that duo. And JD, how do they do it?
They take it back in the 5v5 once more. That was not their fight to take. That was going to be the final blow for EDG, but they find the first pickup on Scout. Zoom is relatively unharmed, and then they transfer all their damage directly onto iBoy. I need to watch that again because I just thought it was a done deal.
Yeah, I mean, when you take out all the damage dealers and there's only the 2 big BP tanks left, you're just like, well, that's over, isn't it? But they just killed everybody. Massive pop coming off. I think it was the Demonic Ascension that really just turned that fight right here, but we can see it one more time.
The big thing here is that it is a 5v4. Clid is going down already. I really want to watch how iBoy actually falls down because he started the fight so well. He got onto Loken with a massive shield, the Killer Instinct, taking him down immediately.
Wow.
But on the flip side, the AoE from Yagao and Zoom absolutely decimating the front line. iBoy is still alive. He's still on full HP right now, but he can't survive the double combo from Yagao and Zoom.
That is ridiculous. Yagao just blocked up the bottom and he was like, all right, Zoom, you take the top and we'll just make it happen. Winds of War did actually so much work in that fight as well. With the Force Lightning coming in from that Swain. It was just the damage over time. Look at that damage. That's over 11,000 damage coming in from Zoom and Yagao out of that fight.
And they're not even supposed to be the damage dealers.
They are now.
They're the tanky front line.
Not anymore. The job roles have changed. It's like, all right, Logan, sell all your items. You're the tank now.
That was a 2v4 at the end of the fight.
Yes, it was. I mean, that's a way, apparently, for JD to come back into this. Something that I certainly could not have predicted. JD are still on the back foot, though, being pushed into their base. EDG are setting up yet another siege, but feeling less confident about straight winning a 5 versus 5.
They can't back down now. They still have an 8K gold advantage. They have to think about what they have, and their advantages still lie a lot in those in that rise. So they could go into a 4-1, they could take it slow, but they should still feel confident about their situation.
Now they still have the Baron buff left on a single member. That's going to be Ray. Able to group up in the 5 versus 5, but they managed to draw EDG into the situation, JD. You know, talking so much about pushing him to a side lane. Ray tanking up a bunch of damage, but gets the knock up. Give him the spear as well. Ray down to half. Suddenly he's killable. Pops the gargoyles. Down to 3,000 HP. Haro tosses the Q over the wall onto Lumao, but JD again. They just can't break this shell.
I can see so many question marks forming up in EDG's hearts right now. What are they doing wrong where they can't defeat JD Gaming? G1, Game 1, Game 2, they had massive leads. There was no way that was supposed to go into JD Gaming's favor, but they pull it out anyway.
Ridiculous stuff going on from JD right here, and Loken, he's also picked up the Infinity Edge. He's now moving towards the last burst as well. He's hit that breaking point where now he can actually start dealing damage to people. iBoy, though, you're looking towards 4 items on his hands currently. So he should be able to theoretically take down those tanks, but he's got 2 of them to contend with. And that seems to be where the problem's coming through, because eventually he's going to have to step up to one of them.
And I like the itemization coming out from Zoom as well, getting the extra sustain and magic resistance against iBoy and Scout. So you can see a problem with EDG's composition actually forming up right now. They don't really have physical damage. The majority of it is all magical. So JD Gaming are looking at that and they're thinking, hey, wait a minute. If we drag this on long enough, we're actually favored in the 5v5, even though our composition doesn't say so.
And then it once again feels like EDG are on a bit of a timer. You know, the story suddenly changes for them. 37 minutes. Next dragon's going to be Elder. Again, another way for them to draw JD out, but these team fights are not set in stone. That's a lot of health, by the way, from Ray. That's like 5,000 HP without gargoyles.
They're going in on the open inhibitor right now. Look at the flanks coming in. Clid is looking for it, but he is spotted.
He is spotted on that ward, yeah, and doesn't want to fully commit to this fight if they don't necessarily need to. Both teams being a little bit skittish, and rightfully so. Inhibitor still up. The EDG don't feel confident enough to push all the way through, but it's good for them to keep pushing up though, because Baron rather actually spawning in another 90 seconds, third one of the game.
What really needs to happen for JD Gaming to actually win a team fight, I still squarely give the advantage to EDG. There's no doubt about that. If it comes up just to a front-to-back 5v5, I still think EDG wins. I honestly do. So what JD Gaming need to do to turn that fight around is actually get Zoom in a very good position. The way they're going to do that is try to find a teleport flank. I think they need to have wards venturing out into their own jungle, so they can allow Zoom to come in from the back and do what he did at the Baron Pit.
For iBoy, try and get to the end of the fight alive. You know, it doesn't seem like he's been able to do that in those 5 versus 5 so far, in those skirmishes and when someone's trying to pick him out. That seems to be where he can shine, you know, when he sees all the abilities coming his way. But there's so much happening in these fights. JD are sometimes over to just straight overwhelm him in this one.
Look at the wards that JD Gaming actually have set up. It's impossible for EDG to swipe out all of them, so they're going to have to be looking behind them when they step up to this open inhibitor.
That's again, at this Baron stare down. Like the idea there from EDG in the last one, just try and burn it as fast as possible, all the way through the jungle with that realm warp, but maybe have to play it a little bit safer, drag JD all the way through the vision. But while this has been happening, JD have actually pushed up into the bottom side of the jungle. So it's not like Harris goes for all 5 of them seeing that brush. Loken's pushing forwards though.
He gets the
we'll
red.
find the red buff. Yeah, there's a big crit coming out from him.
That's just such a momentum changer. You know, you feel the confidence really coming in when you can do that against a smite.
Yep. Harry didn't really want to smite in that situation. But,
I just hope EDG are not skittish in this. They still have an advantage. They should go in.
That was 2 Ws coming out from iBoy. He presses forwards with the killer instinct.
And they're already on the Baron right now. Loken has to heal up.
This is plenty of time for EDG to burn this one down. It's a 2-man currently down to 4,000 HP and Clid trying to get access, but Mako is there. Stops him from moving into the building. And EDG this time, that's a clean Baron take.
EDG, they keep their wits about them. I was really worried about the situation. It didn't seem like they could crack JD Gaming, even with the gold lead that they had.
Double Void Seekers was essentially the setup to that Baron, yeah.
Yep.
Turns out iBoy's just really good at darts. Well, cleared off to the side once again. See if we can get in there. Again, Lumal doing the same thing. I mean, EDG are going to step up and see the fact there's only 3 people. I wonder where the other 2 are.
Look at that ward straight behind him. That's so dangerous going forward.
Lumal is actually doing a complete loop-de-loop all the way around to the bottom. He knows he's out of vision, turns the corner, and it's on. Moves onto the tank first off, and iBoy still protected. In comes Yagao, trying to keep up the front. And Haro just get access onto Loken. He's able to turn this one around. Takes out Lee Sin for the first time on the backside. Yagao goes very deep, maybe too deep. And now Zoom under attack by some time. Haro escapes from the play, and everyone from EDG still alive. Lumal access into the backside. Finds 2. It's going to be a wipe here for EDG.
And the triple down, Logan goes down, it's gonna be EDG!
Quadra out from iBoy, and EDG find the front to back!
And JD Gaming thought they had the turn on them. They saw Scout heading over towards the Elder Drake. They were willing to initiate, but a much better play coming in from EDG. They back out of the AoE area, coming on top of Ray, and their carries stay alive to take the game.
The machine is rebooting. They take us to 1-on-1.
So many great plays from EDG. They might not have evolved the draft much, but I feel like they're getting into JD Gaming's head. They understand the plays that JD Gaming are going to throw at them, they're anticipating them, and they're ready to catch the throws.
And for the majority of that game, they actually managed to keep the gold lead. You know, the last game, it just fell off a cliff at the end, and it felt like that was a potential for this second game when we saw Zoom and Yagao just go to town in that team fight. But EDG, again, they don't lose focus. I think that was the biggest thing. Exactly when you were calling it, Clemens, it's like, well, they need to keep pushing up because right now they should still, theoretically, be able to beat them in the front to back.
Definitely was the case right there. JD Gaming, they almost come close to a 2-0, and they actually did more damage throughout the entire game as well. If you look at the damage graphs, Loken had a masterful game. Swain just Zoom pulling out the impossible in that Baron team fight. unfortunately, it wasn't enough. I felt like they fell way too far behind in terms of the early game, and we're seeing a common theme right here. EDG, if they get the counter picks, they're always able to crack open the mid lane and the first tower. It allows for so many rotations. It allows for so much map control right there. So this is something that JD Gaming have to face. They need to think about a way to deal with the early game.
Yeah, maybe more priority in those lanes. I mean, they had some of it. We had Zoom in the top side. I mean, that's going to be, for the majority, going to be an equal matchup, so we can farm up until later. But it does seem like the mentality right now from that team is go later, go towards those team fights and try and outplay EDG. But historically, where the strength has come out from JD, especially into EDG, it's just striking first and striking hard. Getting advantage, not allowing EDG to do anything, not even set up those set plays into top side and ever get to that point. So maybe the drafting now changes, but we're essentially set to a best of 3 now. For now, we're going to send it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you so much. And EDG equalized this. Looks like we might have ourselves a run of this series, or it could just play out exactly like your predictions, and we could go 3-1.
But this is a really good start for EDG. I love the fact that not only do we see the same early game strong points from EDG, but actually the added creativity in the mid game. Because if JDG played it exactly how they played it in game 1, then suddenly mid game control, or just like the tempo that we were talking about, the rotations that we were issuing here, this just fizzles out.
Well, I mean, for me, I agree with you, but I want to focus in on the Rise. I feel like it was the same story that we saw from Invictus Gaming versus RNG just yesterday. We as a region, we're really good at playing Rise. You give Scout Rise, it's one of his signature champions, and how much you can abuse and eat up the map. It fits perfectly with Edward Gaming's style. It also gives you a power point that you can play in the mid lane because you have targetable CC, as well as kill pressure. You can roam around a lot. You have hyperscaling late game insurance policy with the Rise. I just feel like this is the pick that JDG didn't respect. They gave it to Scout, and now that Edward Gaming looked so competent on the pick, which we knew that they would be. It is a playstyle that they like to go back to every single time, like majority of the LPL. It shouldn't happen again. I think that Edward Gaming don't get this draft again, and they don't run over in the late game JDG again.
The combination of Rise and Kai'Sa really did it for me, where they were able to just push in red side jungle, and usually against teams like JDG, you have to be worried about the 50-50. But in this case, they just got 2 free Barons because they would make the Rise Realm Warp play on towards the Baron and just completely burst it with the AP Kai'Sa build.
And that's where we look to the celebration of Scout utilizing that creative Rise to create so many opportunities. Of course, our first one was, I believe, the replay fight in the jungle, in which he's able to Realm Warp back to safety with some very clever positioning to drag this fight out.
The mechanics from Haro, of course, immediately saving out Scout starts it off, but Ray, the confidence to just flash in and start the fight was something we didn't see from EDG for a very long time.
And it was crazy. At the start of this fight, you didn't really know which way it was going to go. Did Edward Gaming get picked out? Did JDG get picked out? Who's actually going to come ahead? There was a lot of missed flashes, a lot of cool mechanical outplays, and again, it just showcases, there's the missed flash, it just showcases how close this series is going to be. And Raz, I don't want to speak for you, but I think we're probably pretty aligned here that when we say that it's 3-1, yeah, we still emphasize that it's probably going to go to JD Gaming, but I expect every game to actually look like this. I expect it to come right down to the nail. It's going to be about the draft. It's going to be about getting these key picks and execution on the day. Not necessarily that one team is just infinitely better than the other and smash them in 15 minutes. I want every single game to be, you know, it's that 25-minute Baron play that could have gone either way, but this time around it went to Edward Gaming or it went to JDG.
That's the thing, because at the end of the day, these are world-class players. They just need to play as a team and in unison. In that play, what it emphasizes, a lot of flashes were blown there because EDG were so confident in the play, they were willing to all in on it. The only issue and the only reason why JDG came out ahead, Swain coming through with his own flash over the blue wall and then just coming in at a great flank. So this is great strategy and great on the point, on the ball decision making from JDG that edges out ahead. But this was a great EDG win at the end of the day.
Yeah, and we're seeing the similar decision making over the course of that early game. Of course, the fight top lane comes to mind, in which it looks like they're trying to find Scout, but JD and EDG set the same trap.
I mean, I feel like the story of this series should be about, if yesterday was about clutch moments, today it's about inches. You know, again, this could have gone either way. It was a great outplay by Scout himself. He went Super Saiyan this game. You know he's going to give it to you because he's been playing like this all year long, the best year he's ever had in his career. But again, it's going to be these tiny moments. If you go backstage, if you look at your coach just says, this is where it went wrong. Next game, it's not going to go wrong there, but it's just these tiny steps, and it's about who's going to be more consistent with those steps to take the series today.
And honestly, that replay, the best part about it was before it. They were setting up in that red side jungle for so long for the bait, because both of these teams have been so tunneling in on the setup for the fight. They need to start the fight at the best position possible so they can come out ahead, so EDG were ready. baiting out Scout because that had been a play earlier on, as the caster had mentioned. So it came out well for EDG because at the end of the day, they're reading what JDG are looking for.
And that setup is so fun when you look at the fact that even though it was with a 10,000 gold deficit, JD Gaming were still taking fights against EDG. That fight after the Baron comes to mind, in which the Dumpling duo were able to turn it around and at least stall out some of the duration. It just wasn't enough to get them back into the game fully.
Yeah, still showcasing that you do have emerging stars in the form of Zoom and Yagao, especially Zoom. I think this guy is going to be the next iteration of Going. He is just so goddamn good, and I hope that JDG recognize this and they start to leverage this more into the draft phase. You know, moving away from these potato versus yam matchups and start getting more into like French fry territory.
Yeah.
It's really funny when the coaching staff say that our team style is played to bottom lane and Yagao, but your top laner keeps proving you and say, hey, you know what? Consistently, game after game, doing well in lane, coming out incredibly in team fights, the decisions are being changed in draft to give more power into Zoom. So you're like saying, okay, at the beginning of the split, it was play to Yagao and play to Loken, but then with that much consistently great performances, that you're just probably going to see more carry picks for Zoom.
And speaking of that decision making, Mako will take our MVP for that Game 2 EDG victory on that Leona.
Let's go supports!
I mean, it's Lumao into Mako. Lumao said it at the very top of the show that he learned a lot from Mako. Mako, obviously the experienced player, the captain, the shot caller of EDG, and it's just gone back and forth. But I'd like to see some of the carries also get a little bit of the love, a little bit of scout love, a little bit of Zoom
get
love.
out of here. It's the day of the support.
About the bottom lane.
You have Lumao versus Mako. Best support versus someone who's chasing that. And so I love how...
He's like, best support versus who?
Which one's which, Raz? Who's that best support?
Oh my goodness. Of course Mako. He's had the history, but you're right. The question's being asked because Lumao is the one who's actually having the great performances. Leona came out because Mako is getting tired of this. 2 weeks in a row, he is like, wait a second, we need to actually double down on our bottom lane, what our identity has been for so long. And so challenging it, always going in. Remember, Leona got that buff. She's a little bit tankier with her W. So he was just willing to always engage, even without the jungler there to help. So right now, Mako wants to take power in his own hands.
Yeah, very good stuff from EDG to take that victory, though they still need to try and equalize the series. And I want to come back to what you mentioned just a few moments ago. Both of you still believe that it's going to come down to JD Gaming. Real quick, looks like we've got a little bit of a delay going on behind us. Real quick, why do you think that is? Why do you think that it's still going to go to JD Gaming 3-1 after we just saw such a confident game from EDG?
Because it's about consistency. The thing about that game for me is that Edward Gaming, I feel like, had the better draft. They recognized, okay, we couldn't compete with them late game, but we can dominate them early game because of our macro play. So the macro play was still there, and then like, okay, give us the Kai'Sa, give us this Rise. Now we can compete with them late game because we have the insurance policy. JD Gaming should be able to identify this. And the thing is like JD Gaming over the course of the split have been more consistent all year long. So again, tiny steps. These should be very close games, but consistency is on JD's side in terms of the most recent history that we have of these two teams.
There you go. It's a tape. The tape has been for the entire split in the playoffs, JDG playing well. That being said, there's a reason, let me point it out, coaching staff of JDG are still worried because preparation is the thing for EDG. Going into a gauntlet match, a playoff match, when they know they have a big topic match to go into, they come in prepared. So you still have to be worried about that. I am. But at the end of the day, JDG, we've seen the tape of their success.
And it's also about the coaching staff on Edward Gaming's side in terms of drafting. You know, we talk about consistency. Drafting has been EDG's thorn in their side for their entire career since 2014. They just can consistently not draft as well as they should. That game around, great draft. But usually in a best of 5, you expect that Edward Gaming will give away games because they misdraft.
Well, they've got a few more opportunities to try to close out this series, but that means we've got our Game 3 coming at you in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. The LPL is going to be right back.